False Start, a college football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, John Buhler, staff writer at fansite.com. I'm joined today by a man who is stronger than Tom Haverford, but who did not get the flu like April Ludgate, Leslie Knope, Chris Trigger. Cody Williams, content director, fansided.com. I'm literally here. So excited. How are you?
Baba Booey. Baba Booey. No, I'm doing good, man. Happy to have you back. Happy you're on the mend. And I wouldn't say you're 100%, but
No,
we'll give you a solid 80%. And people have played through way worse than 80%. So I'm happy you're here.
Michael Jordan had his flu game. Leslie Knope talked about the Harvest Festival, and Jim Lee, he talked about having to help people all across the podium and push it across the floor.
That's right.
But yeah, don't ever get the flu, human beings. It's terrible. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how incredibly good looking you are, it will kick your ass like a Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the flu since I was like 8 years old, and I still remember having it when I was 8 years old. So yeah, don't recommend.
It's first time for everything, and it's a good time to false start. Yes, we've obviously false started here. We're going to move on to our first topic today, which is first and 15, which is going to be a brand new idea, repackaged, if you will. That's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
We're going to do some Goldilocks, not playoff Goldilocks, but
Mhm.
we're in the heart of the off season. We're all about having new ideas, becoming new people, doing new things. So JD PicKell of On3 Sports, not On3 Sports, On3,
Yeah.
put out his 10 best college football coaches entering the 2025 season. Picked up a lot of traffic, made a lot of hay there in the social media world, and he got a lot right and he got a lot wrong. So we're gonna react to it accordingly with what he got the most right, what he got the most wrong, and what too high, too low, just right. There we go. That's Goldilocks. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my brain's broken here. So before we begin, let's see how the top 10 was. Let's go. Number one, you had Georgia head coach Kirby Smart. Number two, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. Number three, Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian. Number four, Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer. Five, Oregon head coach Dan Lanning. Six, Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman. Seven, Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney. Eight, LSU head coach Brian Kelly. Nine, Penn State head coach James Franklin. 10, Tennessee Volunteers head coach Josh Heupel. I almost screwed the last bit up there because it's 10, 10, 10.
10-10.
All right, where in your opinion is JD PicKell too hot?
Too high. I got to go with Kalen DeBoer, man. Like at 4, that's a little rich for my blood. I respect Kalen DeBoer as a head coach. At like what he did at Washington deserves all of the flowers that he's gotten for that. Calling him the number 4 head coach in the country after you lead Alabama to a 9-win season and you
No.
lose to Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl, I just don't see it, man. Like I wonder. My fear with Kalen DeBoer in the Alabama job, which has actually grown since the time of the hire, has been, is he cut out for this? Is he cut out to coach the Alabamas of the college football world? And through year one, I'm not convinced that's the case. So, like, if that is the case, like, I don't understand how you can have him above a Dan Lanning, above a Marcus Freeman, above a Dabo Swinney. Like, I don't see that quite there. Like, I'm not saying Kalen DeBoer shouldn't be in the top 10, but top 5 is a little bit rich.
Yeah, that's one I considered as well. It's kind of like, well, he's won everywhere, but
Mhm.
has he exactly won at Alabama up to this point? You lost four games, including the bowl that used to be known as the Outback Bowl, and you allowed people at Outbacks to get a shrimp as opposed to bloomin' onions because you're not a good American, apparently.
Right, man. I need the blooming onion. I need the sauce.
As a guy who worked there was nothing sadder than people coming in after the Outback Bowl and they were getting the coconut shrimp and not the bloomin' onions.
I mean, just poor decisions all around.
I know. I mean, they made a choice and they just said, "Oh yeah, it's the Onion Day thing, right?" It's like, sure, man. Yeah, that's how.
Here you go, man. Here's your 4 coconut shrimp.
Yeah, I think DeBoer is a little bit high at four, but I'm kind of in the same. I'm kind of looking in that same sort of area, and this may shock you. I'm gonna go Dan Lanning at five.
Okay.
It's kind of like at some point, like he's got all the talent and all the resources
Mhm.
and everything there, and it just kind of feels like like he's made it a little bit like more buttoned up, you will, than what it was under Mario Cristobal. But Mario Cristobal didn't have that thing in a bad spot. Like he took over
Mhm.
Willie Taggart and Mark Helfrich, who had it in a really bad spot. So it's kind of like how much have you actually made it improve? It seems as though you've really gone out and got really good offensive coordinators, whether that be Kenny Dillingham or Will Stein. You get transfer portal quarterbacks, but at the end of the day, you're a defensive minded head coach. You come from Georgia, a
Mhm.
program where there's guys who are just dogs, and then you got something that's softer than dog called a duck. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like I do think Dan Lanning can win a national title at Oregon, but like it feels like we're rewarding something that's not going to do it. He needs to. I still think the loss to Ohio State's a complete referendum on the program, and they got to figure that out. I'm totally comfortable with him and DeBoer being somewhere in the 6, 7, 8 range.
Yeah.
4 and 5 is too high for both of them.
No, and I think you're absolutely right. Like that, you raise a good point, and I just thought of this. As of right now, Dan Lanning is almost like the John Calipari of college football. Like
Yeah,
all the talent, all the world, but like John Calipari had a lot of disappointing seasons at Kentucky, having a disappointing season right now at Arkansas as well. And like he produced a lot of NFL or NBA draft picks. Dan Lanning's producing a lot of NFL draft picks. He's producing, great regular seasons where they look like one of the best teams in the country, but you're not quite getting over that hump. And John Calipari obviously did get over that hump at some point. I expect Dan Lanning probably will too, with just the way things break and the talent that he's going to continually have at Oregon with the way he's recruiting. But has he won anything right now? Not really, no. Like a Big Ten championship, I'm sorry, it doesn't move me.
no, it's like you beat Ohio State at home when they weren't quite there. You finally beat Washington, but that was with a new head coach and Jed Fish with a completely depleted roster.
Yeah.
I still remember Georgia smoking you like 1 million to nothing in your debut 3 years ago. Obviously, the one time you made the playoff, you got completely embarrassed. It's like and then you've lost to Oregon State, I think at different times too
Mhm.
before as well. Like you're close, but it's not like it doesn't seem like it's the same as it was with like Kirby Smart or Ryan Day when they were in this point because they got to national championships in like their second year.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it like you see the pieces and like I understand why you'd be high on Oregon and why you'd be high on Dan Lanning's potential, but like it is that right now. It is potential. It's not a fully realized product, or else we would see them playing beyond the quarterfinals of the college football playoff.
The Rib Tat, that's a double-edged sword, apparently.
Yes, 100%.
It's never happy, it's never sad. It's the Mona Lisa smile on your side.
Right.
That's pretty good. I'm trying not to laugh too much on this program because it'll be some really awful audio I have to edit out. Sounds like Ferris Bueller about playing on his keyboard at home, dude.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Can
God,
you
did you
come
die?
back later?
Oh my God, are you dying? So too cold. Maybe we share the same sort of sentiment here. Do you want me to go first, or do you got it?
I think we're gonna have the same guy, so you can go ahead. You go ahead and reveal who we probably both have.
Why the hell's Dabo Swinney at 7? That's
I don't
ridiculous.
know, dude. It does not make a damn bit of sense, man. He is one of three college football head coaches who has a national championship. I understand that a lot of his issues are self-inflicted. Like I understand that. Like the transfer portal, and he's just now opening up to that. But Clemson's still been nationally relevant despite the fact that he won't use one of the biggest tools in his tool chest. Like that shows me that he's still a damn good football coach.
You're so fired up, man. I'm excited about this. So, like, what the starters, what you guys got to remember is Cody's from Western North Carolina, and this is basically Clemson territory for like the most part.
Yeah. Oh, tons of Clemson fans in Western North Carolina. Like you get Carolina, Duke, NC State, and Clemson is a close, like third or fourth in that conversation.
There's a little bit of a Clemson people here in Atlanta, but obviously where Athens, where Georgia is, Commerce is kind of where it splits between goes between Georgia and Clemson. It's a huge regional rivalry and everything like that. Again, this is a program that we have a lot of respect for, but we also don't like.
Oh
And
yeah, like I do not like Clemson. I do not like Clemson fans. Like it's in my DNA as a North Carolina fan. I do not like them.
no, so Dabo he should be 3 or 4. It's like between him and Sark, basically. I don't
Yeah.
really think there's any other way you can do it. I wrote about this for fanside.com to finish my first day back from death on Wednesday. Yeah, that day. I don't even know. I don't even know what day is it. Thursday now?
Sure. I have no idea, brother. I like Tuesday broke me. Tuesday was a long day at the office.
Yeah, I can see that. It's been a long week of hell. But
Yeah.
I can totally understand that. But it's like so. Dabo Swinney's won two national championships in the playoff era in 16 and 18. He's been to two other national titles in 15 and 19. Oh, he's also made the playoff three other times. And what I don't think people understand is he's been the Clemson head coach for nearly 2 decades now.
Mhm.
And what he was the wide receivers coach under Tommy Bowden. When Tommy Bowden was the coach, they were the epitome of little old Clemson. Like they were
Yeah,
like
they were that.
they
I
were
mean,
they
that's when that Clemsoning was at its peak.
yeah, this was a program that would go 8-4 every year and finish ranked 24.
Hmm.
And it was Clemson was not a blue blood. They had a peak there under Danny Ford in the late 70s to mid 80s and everything like that. But what Dabo's done is it's bigger and better than what it ever has been under Clemson. So like I think he's using the transfer portal wisely now, or he started to dabble into it a little bit more, maybe I think, or
Yeah.
he's opened the idea to it.
Yeah.
I think also the fact that you got Tom Allen as your DC, you still got Garrett Riley, you got Cade Klubnik back, who's a Heisman contender. He didn't really lose anybody in the NFL draft.
Yep.
We're both pretty high in Clemson, probably making the playoff, winning the ACC again next year. Up until like losing to Texas, I wasn't sure that Clemson was ever going to win a national title under Dabo, but I think that opened his eyes a little bit. Maybe he gets one or two more before he calls it a career. Again, he's only in like his mid to late 50s. He's got time.
No, 100%. And like you look at what Dabo has done at Clemson. I'm looking at the list of Clemson seasons right now. Tommy Bowden previously did not win 10 games in his entire tenure at Clemson.
Are you
Like,
serious?
no, I'm not kidding you at all. Like he did not win 10 games. It's all single digit numbers that I'm looking at. They hired Dabo Swinney for the ahead of the 2009 season. He goes 9-5. 2010, they went 6-7. Okay, not great. The next year, they make the Orange Bowl. And in that season, they went 10-4. Since 2011, they have had one season that they did not win at least 10 games. And that was in 2023 when they went 9-4. And like that's over a decade of just consistent 10-win seasons. And you're going to rank someone like Kalen DeBoer ahead of him that comes to Alabama, inherits a ton of talent, inherits a Jalen Milroe, inherits this roster, and doesn't win 10 games, hasn't actually won anything in his career, like has had a lot of success. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to disparage Kalen DeBoer too much, but when you compare him to Dabo Swinney, it is not they're not the same. They are not.
Yeah. Is there anybody else you think JD PicKell is a little bit low on?
I think we'll disagree on this one. I think that he's a little low on James Franklin.
I'm right
Like,
there with you. I
okay,
actually,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, we're right there, man.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, I understand, like, I probably wouldn't put James Franklin in the top five, to be clear. Like, I'd probably have him in the same range as DeBoer and Landing, frankly. And he's, several spots lower. So, like, I think that when you look at it, like the way he compares to them, it's pretty similar. And I think he has a better track record of consistent success. Like if you look throughout the 4-team playoff era, if that was a 12-team playoff, think about how many times James Franklin would have had Penn State in the 12-team playoff.
A
And
lot.
like when you look at it through that lens with the way college football has changed, like you kind of got to have respect for James Franklin because in the 12-team playoff, we saw them make the semifinals. And so, like, had there been a 12-team playoff previously, who knows what runs Penn State would have gone on previously?
He's the driver, man. And the
Yeah, baby.
driver gets you 10 and 2 just about every year and in the top 10. So yeah, I feel like there's kind of become like the floor is just incredibly high at Penn State.
Mhm.
You kind of know what you're gonna get, good or bad or occasionally ugly, but
Yeah,
you're not gonna see him like take a knee or not take a knee versus Georgia Tech when he
yeah,
should
that's
have,
right. You're surely not going to do that.
or just lose to Georgia Tech in general.
That's right.
And finally, who is JD PicKell just right on?
I've got to go with the top two with Kirby and
Yeah.
Ryan Day. And like I think in that order is the right call because I still think Kirby Smart's the best head coach in college football. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass because like saying that because you're a Georgia guy. But I think that one of the things I was thinking about when trying to figure out what was just right was what would Ryan Day have done with Georgia's roster this year? And I'm not entirely sure Ryan Day is getting that team to the playoff. And so
Yeah.
like I'm pretty confident that Kirby Smart's probably winning a national championship with Ohio State's roster. And like when I look at it that way, you kind of have to have Kirby Smart just like with a leg up. But Ryan Day has proven himself. Ryan Day has gotten it right. Ryan Day has, I mean, you want to talk about a high floor? Like people in Columbus get pissed when that team goes 10-2. People in Columbus get pissed when that team goes 11-1. And like he's lost 10 games in his entire career at Ohio State. Like I'll give Ryan Day criticism, but he's a good football coach.
And they remember every single loss he's had.
They 100% do.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Those are the top two. It's about right. You bring up a great point. Like if you traded places with Day and Smart, yeah, you're probably right there. I don't know how many coaches would have gotten Georgia to the playoff outside of Kirby. Maybe Sark, which is the other guy I feel is pretty high. I'm pretty high on there
Yeah.
too.
I mean, like the top three, I think are probably like the
Yeah,
way they're where they should be.
yeah, I would probably agree with that. Don't really have too much more to add to that other than it just seems as though like Sark's next up.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like in terms of guys that are going to win their first national, you wrote about that for fansided.com. I'd recommend everyone go read it. It's a great article. But I believe it was last week that you wrote that before the plague hit you.
Yeah,
And
it'd be like
but
that.
yeah, no, it'd be like that. But I would recommend everyone go read that. But I mean, Sark is the clear and obvious one. Like he's recruiting at the level. He's been to the playoff 2 years in a row, the semifinals 2 years in a row. And like it just feels like they're on the precipice of breaking through.
I don't know if it's going to be this year, and I
Yeah.
really have no idea who it's going to be. But again, the schedule, I mean, I don't really remember exactly the non-conference too early, but like the SEC schedule, it flips. So yeah, you're going to have to play in Athens, and you're probably going to lose there. But like, it's everything else seems Texas did not have a hard schedule this past year.
No, 100% not. And like I think they'll be fine. I want to say that they do have a tough non-con. Their season opener is Ohio State. So that'll be, I
Okay,
mean,
yeah,
can't wait
yeah,
for week one. That's going to be phenomenal. Can't wait for that.
yeah. Gnome Sand versus Arch Gnome Sand Archman.
That's right. No, I'm saying.
Yeah, week one we got that, and then week zero we got Farmageddon. Man, it's going to be
Hmm.
unbelievable. I think about that at least once a day. It's not a
We got a hell of a kickoff coming, and we only 8 short months until we get there.
if you cut 8.5, it's 4, and if you say it 3 times, it's 4 for 4. Yeah, we're going to move on to our next topic here with some 4 for 4. Follow up to JD PicKell's post idea article, whatever it was, uh, internet thing that we couldn't avoid. The the,
That's
the thing.
right.
Which Power Four head coach could join? Which Power Four coach in each league could join the top 10 next? Let's start with the ACC, and I think I'm going to go with Rhett Lashley. I feel pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, it was between Rhett Lashley and Brent Key. I think those are
Yeah.
the two. Like, I don't with Rhett Lashley, I think we could see it. Like, if SMU is back in the playoff conversation in the 2025 season, then absolutely you've got to start talking about Rhett Lashley in this because talk about consistent success. Talk about going into new territory. The things I'm criticizing DeBoer for, and absolutely not missing a beat in what SMU is doing. Like if they're performing the same way in the ACC that they were in the American, that's a credit to Rhett Lashley. And in terms of Brent Key, like I think he's probably like I went with Rhett Lashley and not Key just because I worry about the ceiling at Georgia Tech. I'm not sure it's quite there to be able to like elevate you in there. But in terms of like succeeding at the job that you're given, we know Georgia Tech's one of the hardest places in the country to
Right.
coach. And the fact that he's having that success there, he deserves a lot of credit for that.
100%. It's just like good coaching will rise to the top there in the ACC because there's some really good programs with a lot of resources like the Clemsons, the Miamis, the Florida States, of the world. But like if you can make up the deficit with great coaching, then that should be rewarded. I
Yeah.
also kind of wonder though if just let's give them a bunch of stuff. Let's give Mike Norvell, Cristobal a bunch of stuff, and they just win. Do they climb to the top like and be like Ed Orgeron at 9 after winning it in 2019 or something ridiculous?
I mean, I just have a really hard time getting past the Mario of it all. I really do
Yeah,
because like, you can say like the same things we said about Dan Lanning, like what have you accomplished? But like in terms of Mario, I think that's much more a Mario problem than it is a Dan Lanning problem at
yeah.
Oregon.
And I think Yeah, Mario Chris probably not so much. Maybe Mike Norvell's a better
Yeah.
candidate for that too, just because
I mean, we'll
uh,
have to see because like he's coming off a 2-10 season, man. Like I don't know what's going to get him back in that conversation if they come back and go 10-2 because I have a hard time seeing that.
I think I think partially this is exactly what happened. I've been formulating this theory in my head for about 15 seconds.
Oh, that means it's fully baked, baby.
I think Joe Exotic put a curse on Florida State.
I mean, probably. You can't, and he's still wishing he was pardoned according to his Instagram.
Jesus. And it hasn't always been working out for some of the people that were, and we'll just leave it at that.
That's right. Yep.
Just because you've been given a get out of jail free ticket doesn't mean you can't go back one day.
That's right. You can still roll doubles 3 times in a row.
Try not to cough and laugh at the same time, but yes. Oh my God. Let's move on to the Big Ten. Let's move on to the Big Ten out of Joe Exotic country. So the Big Ten, this one was much harder for me. This is probably the hardest one for me to figure it out because you obviously have Ryan Day in here, you have Dan Lanning, you have um, James Franklin.
Mhm.
I feel Kurtz is probably the easiest one to put on in there. I also kind of feel that if they have a really good year, maybe it's Bret Bielema.
Yeah, those are the two I was going to say. And the third I was going to throw out there, which I think it's too early to call. Sharon Moore has a chance. I think the opportunity is very real for Sharon Moore to get there. I just don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know when that's coming. I don't know if for sure that it's going to happen. I feel a lot more confident in the track record of Signetti and Bielema. Like I just think that those two, and I think Brett or Bert, whatever you want to call him, he has a real opportunity to kind of crack this list this year, I think, because with the talent
yeah.
that Illinois has coming back, if Illinois is a real challenger in the Big Ten, like that's a level of consistency that we don't really see from Illinois football too consistently. So that would give him a real, feather in his cap.
Few thoughts about this. So I wrote about this for fanside.com pre-plague that I did a bizarro playoff bracket where basically every team who made one, I made it last year, can't make it.
Yeah,
And I had in that situation, I had Illinois winning the Big Ten and getting the 4 seed
there we
because
go.
there's no other way that they would get it besides as the 4 seed.
Yeah.
Like you would need like essentially what like LSU to win the SEC. You would need like Louisville in the ACC or Miami. Maybe Miami would probably the Cloud would get them at 2, and then
Yeah.
Iowa State at 3 or something like that.
Yeah. It's God, it would be hilarious.
But yeah, Bret Bielema, we'll talk about him here a little bit later on the show. But yeah, he's a fantastic coach. Obviously, the Arkansas tenure was challenging.
Mhm.
Just a really hard job, apparently. Uh,
Apparently, everyone seems to struggle with it for reasons.
yeah, but he was really steady, really good there at Wisconsin. Honestly, this kind of goes back to like Wisconsin and the Big Ten of it all. Like Wisconsin and Maryland, the only two schools. I'm like, I do not think they're going to have a good year next year. I think Luke Fickell is just it's not going to work.
No, it's not. It's definitely not taking. And then Maryland is just, they're Maryland. Jets head coaching candidate Mike Locksley, not necessarily getting it done there with the Terps.
Yeah, but Turtle Power.
Turtle power, baby. Heroes in a half shell.
But for real though, like the Big Ten has so many good coaches. It's like you could kind of pick who's who from wherever this list is. You can pick it with anybody. Yeah, I think yeah, the coaching in this league is fantastic. I mean, Barry Odom could be up there if he makes
Yeah,
Purdue in the playoff. Like
100%.
that's how wild it is. I don't think
And I'm
David
like
Braun could do.
Jonathan Smith is a guy that we
Yeah.
haven't exhausted any oxygen on, but we know the potential of Michigan State. We're hot. We like Jonathan Smith and as a head coach. Like there's a lot of talent in the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, like PJ Fleck could do
Mhm.
it. Maybe not David Braun, but like pretty much everybody else has like
I
a
mean, that's a
bunch.
Northwestern problem, not a David Braun problem. Let's be clear.
I mean, at times, if you would have done this list, would Pat Fitzgerald would have been a top 10 coach?
Yeah, he'd
Yeah,
been close. Like maybe not top 10, but like top 15 for sure.
for sure, totally. And the Big 12, this is probably the most interesting and exciting one because I don't think there's anybody on there from the Big 12.
No, no. And I to me, this was the most obvious to me. I think it's Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah.
Like, if he gets this thing actually rolling at Arizona State and this is a sustainable thing that he's doing in Tempe, I don't see how you don't put Kenny Dillingham on here because Arizona State is not it's not a low tier job, but it's not a high tier job by any stretch
No.
of the imagination with the amount of resources that you have there. Like there's a reason that he's always on when he's at the podium, he's campaigning because he knows that he needs that to make this program successful in terms of NIL dollars. And so like the fact that he's out there doing that, the fact that he orchestrated the turnaround at Arizona State that we saw from 2023 to 2024, and the fact that it looks like it's not going anywhere going into 2025, like he's a dude, and I think that that's going to be recognized very quickly.
Totally agree. So there's like a couple of other coaches who could be in some capacity. You've got the guys who can just recruit, and the resources and everything. Like that's your like Joey McGuire, that's your Deion Sanders kind of guys over here.
Yeah.
You got the guys who are fantastic coaches, but are kind of limited by their structure and resources at their current institutions. That's your Chris Clemens, that's your Matt Campbell's.
Hmm.
And then you got the really good old heads, the Willie Fritzes and Lance Leibold, who are fantastic, but you're not getting any younger, but you can go coach the Raiders apparently.
Yeah, apparently, shouts to Pete Carroll. We love to see it. I mean, Pete Carroll being back in football just makes it feel right.
Pete Carroll's going to be like doing the coin toss without shirt, without like sleeves on, like he's a Bud Grant.
I mean, particularly in Chargers games, because now he's in the same division as Jim Harbaugh once again. So he gets to see his boy and come out there and flex on him.
They're going to kill each other.
They really are. It's going to be great. I can't wait. AFC West is now just the most fun thing in the world.
Except the fact that the Chiefs are in it, and then the Super Bowl matchup. It's going to be Eagles, Chiefs in New Orleans, and you're going, and I'm excited for you, but I'm also, oh man, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we're apparently staying in the same hotel as the Chiefs, which is going to be something. So we'll see what happens.
People just make sure you're not mistaken for Travis Kelce, like I know you're capable of.
I know, big and burly like I am, it's easy to mistake me.
Very enthusiastic. He was just Andy Dwyer with a little bit more structure.
100%.
I realize with Mouse Rat, every song is basically the same. You
Mm.
come up with an idea, and it's like three or four open chords. I'll sing the song off air, but like it's when we do a Parks and Rec official episode, it's about like whatever it is. If there's a song about a baby, he would make a song about a baby. So
The baby. That one of my like low-key favorite scenes is the like cutaway or interview, whatever you want to call it, when he just lists through every name iteration that Mouse Rat has gone through. It absolutely kills me
yes,
every single time.
it's unbelievable.
So good.
Yes, I mean sometimes you can be a genius, and that includes the Matts of the world eating hamburger helper off of a frisbee.
That's
You
right.
done been there.
That's just economical.
It's just it's a free plate
It,
if you're hungry enough.
it's a free plate if you're hungry enough and if you're ingenuitive enough.
Do you think Kenny Dillingham ever ate off a frisbee?
Oh, 100%. That and with his bare hands.
Yes, that's how he had his Southwestern burrito. Just
That's right.
yeah, it's absolutely Kenny Dillingham because like you got to have just the name, the face, the place, the Sleeping Giants awoken. Like, yeah, it's him.
100%.
I was so wrong about that hire. I was like, this isn't gonna work, and
I
we are
mean,
wrong.
you looked right there for a second, but
No,
now not so much.
no, no, no. And I don't know if I'm gonna be right or wrong here. Let's move the SEC. Who is the candidate to be a top 10 head coach next year and down the line?
This one was tough for me. Like
Yeah.
I struggled with this one. I went with Lane. I think Lane is the most obvious answer, and like the fact that he's been on the doorstep the past couple of years, I think lends itself to that like you're that close, maybe you can get over that hump. There is a lot of change like that Ole Miss is undergoing, obviously with all their losing from last year's team. But I do think that gives Lane Kiffin the opportunity to show that this thing is sustainable. This thing is rolling in Oxford. And like if Ole Miss is in the SEC mix again, I don't even think they need to make the playoff. Like if you go 9-3 after the changes that you're undergoing, like that's a win for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
You're probably right. That's probably the most obvious one. I went with someone a little bit different.
Yeah.
Give me Shane Beamer.
I like that too. That's someone else I considered. I also considered Hugh Freeze. Like I think that's someone that
Yeah,
could be in that mix. Like it's entirely possible.
Billy Napier too. If you
Yeah.
have the resources there. My thought with why I went with Shane Beamer is because like South Carolina punching above its weight class, going to levels that we haven't seen since Steve Spurrier was the coach. I think that's I think that's huge. I think the fact that Lenore Sellers has multiple years of eligibility left, they just
Yeah.
signed his brother, so like
Yeah.
he's gonna be doing things there for a while. Um, the only challenging part with South Carolina is like Clemson's in state,
Mhm.
and it's essentially like Auburn can only be so good because Alabama's there. You can be really,
Yeah.
really good, but and then you're also on the border with Georgia, and you're taking the same
Mhm.
people.
I do wonder in the case of Clemson if it's not if it can't be like an iron sharpens iron situation. Just because like you look at early 2020s when Georgia and Alabama were kind of just trading haymakers with one another with Saban and Kirby Smart. And like, I'm not saying they're going to be the new Georgia and Alabama, but like to the level of we see Clemson starting to use the transfer portal and tick up and, get back to their ways that made them national championship contenders as South Carolina is also on the ascent and as South Carolina is getting investment. And like, if there's one thing I know about the people of Columbia that support the Gamecocks, it's that they hate the Clemson Tigers. And so
Yes.
if they see the Clemson getting this buy-in, the boosters are going to give their buy-in to South Carolina as well to match that. And so like, if it is an iron sharpens iron situation, that's only more credence to Shane Beamer leveling up here.
Here's what they need to do. They need to get Shane Beamer and Don Staley going door to door to door to door, talking about how much they hate Clemson.
Oh yeah, 100%. Just like wear
It
an
would
I hate
work.
Clemson t-shirt. It would absolutely work. Like sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution.
My solution is hate,
That's
apparently.
right. Embrace the hate.
Embrace the hate.
I mean it's 2025, man. We're in a new era.
I'm a new person right now. I died, and I'm not John Bueller. I'm John.
You're John and 10 pounds slimmer thanks to the play.
Yeah, I know. I also realized the other day that all the H's in my names are silent. So
Hell yeah.
John Michael Bueller, none of them matter.
The silent H runs strong in the family.
It's the Pluto of letters.
That's right.
I guess before I tie a bow on this part of the show and move on to the middle third, I still kind of find it weird that Brian Kelly and Josh Heupel are in there. I think Brian Kelly is like, I kind of want to move him out there just so he would scream himself Tom Coughlin purple because no one wants to valet park cars for him anymore. And I don't get the Josh Heupel thing. He's made Tennessee better, but it's just gimmicky shtick, and anybody who has any brain defensively is going to stop him.
I think I was thinking a lot about Heupel too, because his name does stand out. Like when you look at the list, like it
Yeah,
absolutely does. But I also wonder. I think where I came down on it is I'm okay with him at 10 because I think that's his ceiling. Like I don't see
yeah,
Josh Heupel getting above 10, and like that's kind of where I'm at with that. Is like I don't like I can't find like the most obvious replacement right now to like usurp him at 10. But I also can't think of like with what we know about Josh Heupel, with what we've seen from Tennessee, like I have a hard time seeing him like elevate into like the top 6, 7 at this point. Like I don't know what he's capable of at this point to make me think that.
I would have Chris Kleiman at 10.
Okay, and I don't think I don't have any real argument for that either. I'm just like I think there's a group right there that their ceiling might be 10, and whoever you put in that 10 spot is kind of in that range.
Chris Kleiman is to Kalen DeBoer as Cliff Kingsbury is to Lincoln Riley. They just don't have this. They don't have the good. They don't have the good PR people.
No, they do
It's
not.
the same thing. But either way, Josh Hype looks at his name on the list right there after putting on his Letterman's jacket that still fits, and he says, "That's a W right there."
Yes, sir.
God, that was good.
That was really good.
Penn State stole the one guy who could stop our boy Andy Kotelnicki
Codal
and
neck.
Jim Knowles. And Jim Knowles. CSI was not around when the hire or the poaching of Jim Knowles from Ohio State to Penn State happened. And you brought up a very interesting stat. The only two times that Andy Kotelnicki has been coaching at a Power Four level, where his offense has been held under or
Held,
Scoreless or something?
held without a touchdown.
Hell, that touchdown was 2021 when Andy Kotelnicki was at Kansas and Jim Knowles was on Mike Gundy's staff at Oklahoma State. And then last year when Ohio State beat Penn State in Happy Valley. So I still find it really weird that like Jim Knowles left,
Mhm.
but it was also like weird that Tom Allen left. But like you couldn't have made a better hire to replace Tom Allen than with Jim Knowles. It's
No,
incredible.
you hired the best defensive coordinator in the sport, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Like that's what you
Yeah.
did in that moment. And so I from listening to people who are a little bit more well connected than we are, I have gathered that apparently there was a lot of disconnect with Jim Knowles in the Ohio State locker room with not necessarily the players as much as with Ryan Day, with Chip Kelly, just kind of a lot of power struggling and things of that nature. So I can if that is the case, then I understand it. I also think Ohio State fans have every reason to be like, what the hell, man? Because you did just lose the best defensive coordinator in the sport. And like I do think that Ohio State's going to make a good hire. We know they are. It's Ohio State. They can throw a Brinks truck into whoever's yard they want to, frankly. But I still don't know if you're going to get someone as good as Jim Knowles. And so, like, if you're an Ohio State fan, you have every reason to be pissed. If you're a Penn State fan, you have every reason to be excited, man.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
this is this is kind of like the all world coaching staff. And it also goes to the fact that like when you have coordinators the level of Andy Kotelnicki and Jim Knowles, which I also think this shows that Jim Knowles does not want to be a head coach. Because if he wanted to leave, like why was he not a bigger name in the head coaching cycle? Like why was that not a thing? So like maybe he is just content being a DC. So like that's someone that when you look at James Franklin, like he's lost Manny Diaz, he's lost Tom Allen, maybe this is someone who sticks around for a while. And especially if you're going to lose Kotelnicki, which he could be a coaching candidate if Penn State reaches the levels that we think they're capable of, like that gives them some continuity. But going into the 2025 season where you have a lot going your way if you're Penn State, now you kind of have an all-world coaching staff that might take a little bit of the decision making out of James Franklin's hands as well.
I think that makes sense. I'm looking at Jim Knowles' profile on Wikipedia. First off, he looks like John Travolta right now.
A little bit, a little bit.
So I knew he coached at Cornell in the 2000s, which was his alma mater. So he has head coaching experience. Wasn't particularly great there. Sub 500 coach there with the Big Red. I chew Big Red.
If you don't chew Big Red, then go to Oklahoma State.
But like, he'd been at Duke, he'd been at Oklahoma State, he'd been at Ohio State. Like 3 years at Ohio State, 4 years, I think, at Oklahoma State under Mike Gundy and everything like that. He's about to be 60. I just maybe this is an opportunity for him to kind of get out of the Ohio State bubble. Maybe he gets the opportunity to be a head coach. I guess maybe there's better jobs that could conceivably open up and
Yeah.
everything like that. He is the top coordinator in the country, and I don't think he wants to get scapegoated if something bad happens at Ohio State, which is silly. I believe it's Chris Ash is coming over to take over for was that rumored or true?
So he was rumored to be going to Ohio State, but Notre Dame poached him. Notre Dame hired him as the replacement for Al Golden.
Oh, that's right. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking about yeah, Chris Ash got hired somewhere, and I think it brings up an interesting point because Jim Knowles was brought in there to fix it. He wasn't like one of the boys, one of the guys, so to
Yeah.
speak. Because Kerry Combs, the predecessor to him, was so well liked in the building.
Yeah. It wasn't as good of a defensive coordinator,
No,
but was well liked.
yeah. So figure out who Ohio State. Maybe they just don't have a defensive coordinator. They just won't do it.
I mean, one of the names that I can't get out of my head, and I talked about it on Monday, that was floated by Pete Nakos of On3, who it's a guy that knows a thing or two. He's got some sources out and about. He threw Phil Parker out there. And man, that's about as good as you're going to
God,
be able to do if you're poaching someone.
that's that's better analysis than anything I've ever seen out of Benjamin Solak getting
Yeah.
crushed, getting crushed by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Getting crushed by everyone, dude. The internet hated Ben Solak this week
Why don't you throw it to him? Like, because he's standing behind him. This isn't a video game.
because he's about to die. What do you mean?
That's why I don't do analysis. I just do this.
No, we're that's why we avoid the X's and O's.
No.
We're the Jimmies and Joes out here.
We dot T's, we cross I's, we put commas wherever they want, wherever they go. I'm just of the belief, just whatever, it just goes.
Commas are strictly vibe based, not grammar based.
The vibe of punctuations. There we
That's
go. I also learned that the question mark exclamation point is called something. It's called like an enter something.
really
Yeah, there's like a name for it. It's not Enter Sandman, but that's what I'm gonna call it on the show right now because
the
that's
inner
all I can think of.
Sandman.
But yeah, this Jim Knowles to Penn State's massive. I think that that really puts Penn State in a list of about four teams who I think can win the national championship next year. Ohio
Agreed.
State, Texas, and you can pick your fourth team.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, Penn State, Texas, and I would probably go. I'm actually probably going to go Clemson, honestly. Like, I think
Yeah.
Clemson can absolutely win a national championship.
Yeah, your next group is like your Clemson, Georgia, Oregon. I don't really feel
Yeah.
good about any of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I like of that group, I honestly feel like that's kind of who I was running through. And I honestly feel the best about Clemson about those, which I didn't think was a place I would end up, but here we are.
No, but that's what happened here, man. That would be
Yeah.
in a weird way. Clemson, Penn State, Daddy would kind of be sick. It'd be a
Oh,
very
yeah.
different vibe. Yeah, that'd be cool.
100%.
Maybe not Texas, Clemson. I think that's just too much orange.
No, I can't handle that. Like, orange is one of my least favorite colors. And so, like,
It's
that would not jive with me.
orange is the anti-purple.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. Like Clemson should wear nothing but the purple unis. Those are sick. The orange unis do nothing for me.
I like red and black. I don't like orange and blue, and this is false.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, any other thoughts about Jim Knowles? I know you probably said a bunch already, but we can move on if you need to.
No, no, I mean, like, I just think that I don't think we should overlook how important this is. Because like it may sound like we're overblowing this. We're not. We're
No.
truly not. Like this is a tide shifting thing. And like let's also not underestimate the fact that Jim Knowles has been in the building in Ohio State for the past 3 years. Penn State has had a lot of trouble with Ohio State. Now you got some intimate knowledge of what's happening over there.
This hire is bigger than Penn State getting Andy Kotelnicki away from Kansas and bigger than Clemson poaching Tom Allen away. It's a bigger hire than Penn State getting Andy Kotelnicki and Tom Allen last year combined.
I think it like legitimately, I'll compare it to a head coaching hire. I think it's bigger than Alabama getting Kalen DeBoer. Like
Yeah.
I think it's bigger, more important than that because you have the structural CEO type and James Franklin there ready to run this, and now you have two of the best coordinators at their respective jobs in the country.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put on the same level as like, Georgia hiring Kirby Smart or Steve
Yeah,
Sarkisian
no,
hiring Texas, but like it's something where it's like, oh, this is a game changer. Like this is bigger than Georgia getting Todd Monken back in the day.
yeah, like there. I haven't even like considered the downside. Like I don't think there is one, quite frankly. Like I have like and like when you look at like Kalen DeBoer, when you look at all these other hires, like there is like some chance of downside that you have to consider. In Jim Knowles' case, I don't like this seems like it's just a great move that makes your team better.
I mean, if maybe they carry him off of the sunset and they get rid of James Franklin like Bill Parcells did, or
There we go.
I don't know. He's going to be the reason they win a national championship if they do.
Oh yeah.
Or King Broccoli's got to be better, man. He's got to be better.
I mean, I think he will be. I'm hoping so.
I'm hoping so too, and I hope this next guy is going to be better too. Let's see some talk portal to me here with some Jaden Rashada. He's going to wait until the spring, so to transfer. Didn't really get a lot of offers, a lot out of the portal from Georgia. Very interesting thoughts here. One of the things was he says, "I need a place like Georgia right now," and I think this was an opportunity, like Asylum, a place to reset for
Mhm.
himself as well. The places that I blanked on the second one. I think it was UCLA drew some interest, and was it
Mhm.
Duke? Was Duke the other one?
I don't know if Duke did because they just got Mensa, so I'm not 100. But
Yeah,
that I mean, it doesn't preclude them from doing that. I don't remember that.
it could have. I don't think it was Cal. Cal was the place that thought he was going to go, but they got JKS, and that
Hmm.
was kind of like the
Yeah,
replacement for Fernando. But
Fernando.
Fernando, Fernando. But anyway, like Rashada will hit with the portal there, around spring break and everything like that. Probably to get a second spring break, at Georgia. This would be his third program in 3 years after playing at Arizona State and being on the Georgia team. Got recruited to Miami and Florida, went to
Mhm.
Arizona State. Just hope for the best for him. I hope he can get a P4 spot. I think the talent's there. I just
Yeah,
think that like there's a he took the Brock Vandagriff spot, and that's
yeah,
kind of what that was going to be for whoever took it. And I know at the time you're like, yeah, I don't see it making sense with Rashada at Georgia, but seems to like it there. But he knows the opportunity to play is not happening. It's all go with Gunnar Stockton now for better or worse.
No, 100%. Like when he when he signed with Georgia initially, like it was hard not to compare him to Dante Moore, another 5-star from the same class who went to Oregon with the pretty clear knowledge that he was not going to be the starter. Like Dylan Gabriel was already in Oregon, and so like we knew Dante Moore was not going to start in the 2024 season. Jaden Rashada knew he was not going to start at Georgia. Maybe he thought he was going to there. Maybe it was just an asylum thing. Maybe it was just to get comfortable and kind of reset after a very tumultuous 1 year at Arizona State. Like that was the down year we were talking about with Kenny Dillingham. And so I don't know where he goes. One of the places that I think like when I'm starting to like run through like options that could be beneficial for him, Syracuse is a place that I
Yeah.
came up with. Obviously, like you think of all the places that we were like he was connected to, all very high academic institutions. Syracuse is the same. But you also look at what Fran Brown did this past year with Kyle McCord and the way he took him from, being someone who was highly criticized at Ohio State, had kind of had a little bit of a tumultuous start to actually touching the field in his football career. And he said, you know what, man, just go out there and sling it. Just go out there and be yourself and show your talent. Jaden Rashada is a talented guy. It just hasn't worked out for him to this point. So getting into somewhere that followed a very similar script, maybe with less experience, obviously, but I do think that Syracuse would make a lot of sense because I think Fran Brown is a player's coach and someone who gets from what we've seen so far at Syracuse, he gets the best out of his guys.
Well, also the Georgia connection with Fran Brown
Yeah.
there too makes it a very easy landing spot for him. Opportunity to start pretty early. Pretty good program. I mean, Syracuse finished in the top 25 this past year. I don't know if they'll be able to stay up there because losing Kyle McCord is a
Yeah.
significant drop off. But like the blueprint there, it's a fun, fast style of football playing in a dome
Yeah.
in a very winnable ACC. Why not? You're the biggest team. You're the only major college team in New York. Like, why not? Like
Yeah.
Jaden Rashad is a well-traveled man, and he doesn't seem to be obsessed with a certain AFC quarterback, which is great.
It's always good to see.
I don't know if you read what I wrote yesterday. I was so mean. I was
Oh, I
so
mean, deservedly so, dude. Like, what are we doing, man?
yeah. It's creepy. That's called Chris Slanders at works and the Slack is like this is an SFWI single
Dude,
white female. It's so creepy.
I can't remember if it was Tom Fernelli or Chip Patterson on the Cover 3 podcast, but they basically said that they're waiting for like the Quinn Ewers cutting his mullet moment for Dylan Raiola, where he just like shaves the broccoli top off and is like, okay, I'm ready to be a serious human being now and not Patrick Mahomes cosplay.
It's like this is why you got to go to the same school for multiple years and not transfer. You need your friends to make fun of you.
100%.
It's really important. Like go to public school, man. These kids would say, "I was a jerk." Arizona State podcast. It's like, why are you mean to these people? I'm like, because they're mean to me too. It's fun. It's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing that people need to realize bullying works. Like it
A little bit,
does.
yeah, it does. Yeah, it's not healthy, but it's a way of life.
Yeah, like I'm not condoning it, but like let's not deny the efficacy of it.
No, things get done on the bus.
Yes. You know what? Actually, F the bus because someone stole my entire CD case when I was in middle school off of the bus. I had like a 48 CD pack that I would, listen to my CD player on the bus and like waiting around at school and stuff like that. And someone stole all my CDs. So no, the bus can go kick rocks.
What was the best CD in there?
Probably Creed. If I Human Clay was probably in there. So
I mean, I got it about 12 feet that way.
that's right.
It's human clay, my sacrifice. No, that's not even on there. Can you take me higher?
Can you take me higher?
Do, 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 do. So I don't know what program's going to take Jaden Rashada higher than Syracuse, but I like that one too. I think that one's very intriguing too. I'm trying to think. I guess what he wanted to have the weird thing is like he's going to the spring transfer portal. He didn't play it all last year. He started prematurely at Syracuse or at Arizona State. Like I think starting is important to him, but like going in the spring kind of seems counterintuitive there.
Yes and no. I do think that one of the things that he could be waiting on is opportunity because if I'm not mistaken, like the spring window opens like in the middle of spring practice, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken on the calendar. And so if there is a spring practice injury and like some program is like OS, like we need to make something happen at quarterback, like there could be a ready-made opportunity for him to step in there. So like maybe he has options, but he's just keeping his options open for like a bigger opportunity that could arise because of that.
I'm just trying to think of other places besides Syracuse that could make sense, and I can't top
if
it.
if being a starter is not important to him, I think Florida State would make a lot of sense because Thomas Castellanos, I believe, is out of eligibility after this year. Like
Yeah,
he's been around for a hot minute, so I would be shocked if he wasn't out of eligibility after this season. And I'm not sure what Florida State's contingency plan is right now. Like it seems like they're just trying to plug holes in the boat while other holes are popping up in the back of the boat. So like maybe Jaden Rashada is someone that helps you build a little bit of a future there.
that makes sense because Luke Kremenhoek went to Mississippi
Yeah,
State, and that's
exactly.
that's yeah, that's not good. It's not great, Bob. But
No,
Gus Malzahn's gonna play quarterback. I'm playing quarterback now, man. Let's go.
let's go, boy.
Let's go, boys. Let's move it, move it.
Oh my God.
Florida State has not run the wing T since LC played there.
Buddy, they're gonna learn it this year.
You ready to learn some wing T?
That's right. Wayne Thomas Castellanos. Let's go.
That's his nickname now. It's Wing.
That's right.
Wing T. Thomas Castellanos.
That's right.
It's not. It's almost as good as Julian Nomsan.
No, I'm saying.
God, that's so good. I hope he's good, man.
I hope so too. We need to talk about him as much as possible.
Yeah, I know we got to talk about him a lot, and we got to talk about the conference he's in a lot with some Big Ten energy here
Yes, sir.
with our penultimate topic. Try not to cough,
You
but
good?
Bret Bielema is ready to roll up his meat sleeves, shows exposed Iowa Tiger Cat to fight Jim Harbaugh in a PF Chang's parking lot. Explain to me what's going on here while I cough a little bit, please.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, Jim Harbaugh was giving a press conference and he basically said, like, admonish cheaters and admonish, like, the idea of cheating. And, Bret Bielema, found some irony in that I think we all did, but did not hesitate to say it, which is fun from a former peer in the Big Ten coaching circle. And a lot of emojis, crying, laughing emojis being used, and basically saying, like, then how did you win? Why did you run off to the NFL? And it seems like Jim Harbaugh might not be welcome back in college football anytime soon. Not that I mean, he has the show cause anyway, but like it's wild stuff.
I know there was stuff that was surfacing and everything from like the allegation. We'll see what happens. I still don't think it's going to end well for Michigan at all.
I the fact that it's taken as long as it has leads me to believe that I'm not sure that the hammer's coming down quite in the way that people expect it's going to.
I think they're just trying to find everything that they can, and they try to be really thorough. So it's not going to be as like you're going to know it's coming. But you're going to tense up, and it's going to be like this as opposed to like going through you.
So I see what you're saying, and like I think you're absolutely right. But the fact that they're looking for everything and trying to find everything they can, to me, at least my read on that is maybe they don't have enough to drop the hammer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like what they have is like all they have is enough for a slap on the wrist, not like, handcuffs, basically.
I mean, they got they got suffocated with some burger boxes.
That's true. That's true. Maybe the burgers will be the thing that tips the scales.
Go put your head in the styrofoam box and see what happens.
That's right.
It's the last pillow you're ever gonna have.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Oh my God.
we are fever dreaming on this episode. I'll tell you that much here. But
Uh,
so Bret Bielema and Jim Harbaugh have a lot more in common than you think. They've won Big Ten championships. They've got alma mater tattoos. Their children calls them Papa, and they sit on their lap. Even though one's a 5-year-old girl named Brooks, and the other one's a 15-year-old man with buck teeth.
that's right.
It's this. I had to update something. from like, Big Ten's record in a playoff, and I had like Jim Harbaugh and his bucktooth kid up there, and I'm like, that was still a thing apparently a year ago, so I'm gonna change it to Ryan Day to get that out of the internet.
Yeah, no one needs to see that. It's not good for anyone's eyes, anyone's mental health. But no, I mean, like, I think, Bret Bielema is like kind of the right person to be able to do this. Cause like obviously if Ryan Day says something like this, it's you're a bitter rival. Like you're just mad you couldn't beat Jim Harbaugh his last 3 years there. And I don't think anyone else in the Big Ten really has the cachet.
No,
Like James Franklin maybe might be the closest thing that we have there in terms of cachet, but like I think I think Bielema, like with his history, like you said, he is a former Big Ten champion. He's a dude who's had a lot of success at Illinois. Like he is in a position to, actually criticize this thing and like actually come to it with some weight behind it because you can make the argument that if what the allegations that were Michigan like are fully true, like with the sign stealing and stuff, those were some pop years for Illinois. Like that's when Illinois was thriving, and so maybe that depressed Illinois ceiling. Like he has a reason to be pissed about this. There's no doubt.
for sure. I think you bring up a great point where like he's the right person to say this because like James Franklin probably has the cachet, but he's the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, 100%.
And what if Matt Rule did it, he would just come across as a brat. Like that's not gonna work.
And also, like, what have you wanted? Like, sorry, my Alexa's going off in the background. I don't know if we said anything close to that, but that's okay.
That, hey, wiretap, can cats eat pancakes?
That's right. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's happening, but hey, whatever.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a fever dream. It's like I don't even know what's going on right now. But yeah, Brett Bielema would have the reason to come down on it. He's like, look, I'm a really good head coach. I'm probably just every bit as good as Jim Harbaugh. I've just
Yeah,
not been at the same. I've not been at Michigan.
yeah.
Like, I did. I would probably argue he's probably the best head coach at Wisconsin that I remember. I don't really remember a lot of Barry Alvarez when I was younger, but like he did a lot. He won 3 Big Ten championships when the Big Ten just sucked. Like he was that good. Like,
No, absolutely. Like, I mean, I'm sure Wisconsin fans will, have Barry Alvarez above him, but like old Bert was getting it done out there, man. Like like outside of the Arkansas, which I think I think we might just have to depress, like we talk about the ceiling of Arkansas. Maybe the ceiling at Arkansas just isn't what we think it is at this point, because like we've seen a lot of good coaches not succeed there. So like maybe that's just kind of what it is at Arkansas. But I also think even beyond that, like that's a weird fit for Bert. Like it really is. Like the dude screams Big Ten energy. So like I'm not sure that that really plays in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
they asked him like what his last meal would be. He's like, my mama's meatloaf.
Yeah, no, a Runza, man. It was,
Just,
had to go to the Runza.
Arkansas, it's the same thing. We've seen John Calipari have issues. We've seen a lot of other coaches have issues. It's because it's Jerry Jones it's
I hate my life.
I mean, I still think Brian Schottenheimer is gonna do better than Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen just looks like a nerd. And
I
that's
I like Liam Cohen, man. I'm here for it.
Duval.
Yeah, never say Duval again. But outside of that, I like Liam Cohen.
I don't know, he kind of seems like an opportunist and he's gonna get his ass kicked by
I mean,
like
it's entirely possible. I
Tamika
give it I
Ry-
give it a C plus. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. It's Trevor Lawrence is just gonna quit football and just start like, creating pictures with his brother on an easel.
I think it's called celebration.
You have your mother's eyes.
Oh, but I will say, like, one thing that does make me more optimistic about Liam Cohen than I probably should be is the fact that he went to the Jaguars and was like, "Oh, you're not firing Trent Baalke? I'm not working here." Like at least he has that going for him. Like he has that amount of common sense, which I'll take.
I get it. You're addicted to Sean McVay in Kentucky, and you abhor Trent Baalke. I respect it. Honestly, if Illinois has a great season and they make the playoff, let's hire Brett Bielema to be an NFL head coach. Just do it. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
absolutely.
I'm ready for it. Like,
After Shane Steichen gets fired, that's an Indianapolis Colts head coach if I've ever seen one.
If Amy Adams Strunk just continues to mess with everything, just have him go coach the Titans. Let's do it.
There we go.
I like Brian Callahan, but
Yeah.
this is big Tom Callahan's son. Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
Also, it's like I think Brett Bielema can kind of say whatever because he's like an immovable object. Like he can just no one's gonna be like it's like yeah he can just say whatever he wants.
Yeah, 100%.
It's kind of like the same thing with Shaq. It's like Shaq just does whatever he wants because like you're like 7'2", 500 pounds. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
you
what's
gonna tell him
going.
no? No.
No, no, you can burn down his Krispy Kreme, but it'll come back, and I still haven't gone yet. I need to.
Dude, I miss Krispy Kreme so badly. It's crazy.
Dude, it's amazing. It, it might kill you, but it's good.
I mean, like I'm one of my hottest takes is I'm a pretty anti-Dunkin' guy. Like I don't like their donuts. Like their coffee's okay, but like I do not like their donuts or their food at all. Krispy Kreme just blows them out of the water, man.
Yeah, Dunkin', it's just like I go there, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna eat it, but like I'm not
Yeah,
happy about it.
yeah. Like their coffee's solid. Like I'm totally fine with their coffee, but yeah.
For as much as people dunk on like McDonald's food's way better than Dunkin'. It's so
Oh,
much better.
100%. There's no question.
No, it's like it's a soft little kid little greasy little burger thing, and then this is just like we put it in a microwave with the crazy people outside screaming on bath salts.
Yeah, 100%.
The Dunkin' by my house is frightening. Don't
Terrifying scenes.
don't ever get out of your car there.
Never.
And I don't know if Brett Bielema can get in and out of his car or a lift like that one lady.
Oh
I'm serious.
God.
This episode's absolutely ridiculous. I know we got a hard out here in 6 minutes. Let's finish up with the last segment here. Let's just do it, please. Let's get out of here. With some It's On Me Enough, getting in and out of Ubers, going to Dunkin' Donuts. Apparently, Kalen DeBoer is really excited about his Alabama team, and he had this quote here, and it seems like it's kind of a indirect shot at Jalen Milroe. A lot of good things are already happening, DeBoer said. It already feels just a lot different internally as we turn the page into 2025 from the first team meeting, which was less than 2 weeks after our last bowl game. We may have different opinions about this. I don't like this at all from Kalen DeBoer. At all. It just shows this is just our kind of guys, and this is exactly why this is exactly why it's not going to work if it's not going to work. Like Jalen Milroe is a mega four-star talent. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be he's going to make great plays next year in the NFL for somebody. Giants, Steelers, whomever. You got Austin Mack, who you really like, and you got this guy, five-star Keelan Russell coming in,
Yeah. Who's a dude? That's a dude right
who
there.
is a dude, yes, but like you're at Alabama, you're not at Fresno State anymore.
Yeah.
I'm so done with this.
So I don't I share your sentiment. Like I don't think this is a good look from Kalen DeBoer, especially with the concerns that we share, which you just unpacked. Like the concerns are you going to try to turn Alabama into Washington? And like that's not a good thing. You don't want to turn Alabama into Washington. That's not going to fly. It's just not. That's how you end up with 9-3 seasons pretty consistently and not making the playoff. And so like I share the concerns. But I do think there's two sides to the coin because I do wonder. There were so many times with Jalen Milroe throughout last season where I looked at him and like obviously just immensely physically gifted, but in terms of him playing quarterback, it just felt like there were so many times where he regressed. Like he would see moments and it was like, okay, DeBoer is working his magic on this guy and we're starting to see him progress. And then he would regress. And you have to wonder how much of that is actually on Jalen Milroe. And maybe he's just like, no, I'm not changing who I am. I'm not going to do this. And then you look at the decision to enter the NFL draft, which I pushed back on and said, he would really benefit from staying another year. Maybe they didn't want him to stay another year. And again, that doesn't dismiss the idea that Kalen DeBoer is getting his type of guys in there and the potential pitfalls that come with that. But it does make it seem to some degree like maybe Jalen Milroe wasn't the most popular guy among that coaching staff.
I mean, that's a possibility, totally. But like again, you're like, we're trying to make Alabama Washington. When you do that,
Yeah.
you just take L's, man. That's just this is just some like some Brody Croyle look at Alabama nonsense. I
Yeah.
can just see it. Some Jay Cutler guy with his helmet on top of his head, just looking off there, looking like, why we're getting our ass kicked by Tennessee, 41-7.
Why are we losing to Oklahoma again?
Why are we losing to Vanderbilt again?
Again. Yeah. No, you can't be having that.
No, I want to give Kalen DeBoer the benefit of the doubt, but like everything about this just kind of seems like maybe the humbling wasn't as much as it needed to be.
Yeah, no, I'm if you're Kalen DeBoer, it would be hard to be humbled if I'm being honest. Like, we're both guys that have a little bit of an ego. Like, you don't do a podcast, I don't think, if you don't have a little bit of an ego. You like to hear
No,
yourself talk. So like
yeah.
like I do understand like the idea of, well, I've won everywhere I've been. Why would I change who I am, what I'm doing because of one year where we didn't quite meet expectations? Like, I understand where that is coming from, but at the same time, like, it doesn't make me optimistic about the long-term prospects.
I mean, if you're not kissing your reflection in the bathroom mirror every morning you get up, then are you really a good person?
That's
Are you
right.
really,
Yeah.
you
Do you
know,
love yourself?
do
Like,
you
what
love
are we doing?
yourself? If you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else. Remember that.
That's right. Yeah. That's words of wisdom. That's what you come to false start for.
That was that was written on the Bible, aka Men's Health magazine, I think.
Also, I think a Justin Bieber song or something like that.
I don't know if you saw this. They're gonna make like a reality show starring the Baldwins. Maybe the Biebs gets to be in it.
Love the ball.
Should be called Breaking Baldwin.
I just want to quote Sarah Marshall, but I don't want to give us the NSFW label. You're effing Billy Baldwin, aren't you?
Can you say popsicle?
Oh
Oh
God.
God, yeah. My college roommate looked a lot like Jason Segel, so that was his personality to be Jason Segel.
I mean, I won't argue with it. I wish everyone was Jason Segel. Be better for the world.
They made me watch a lot of How I Met Your Mother, and I can't stand Ted Mosby.
Yeah, Ted Mosby's a tough watch.
Yeah, I was as I was watching Parks and Rec coming back from like the plague, I realized that the reason Parks and Rec is better than The Office, in my opinion, is because there's no character in the Parks and Rec that I hate, like Pam Beasley.
So my wife has the NC State podcast is one of the hottest takes in the world. She hates Tom Haverford. She cannot stand him, and I'm like, he's beloved. You shut the hell up. But yeah,
The part where he had his stand up where he was talking about Mr. Edelstein and his cousin Harrison, that was my high school.
incredible stuff.
Mr. Edelstein got a graded homework for accuracy, and that's why I got 89.3 in that class, not an 89.5, which was nice. So
Technicalities, we hate him.
I kind of was like, he's kind of a jerk, and I'm like, and I realize now, I'm like, no, he's kind of a funny dude. In retrospect, he liked Wisconsin football, liked a crowded house music, and had a daughter. He was like 3 years old. Didn't want to put up with a bunch of 17-year-olds crap. In
I
retrospect,
I
I
can't
get it,
blame him.
man. I can't blame him. No, I can't blame him at all, dude. His best friend on the team was his high school best friend in school was the JV baseball coach who's in the same department as him. They grill burgers together. Like,
Mhm.
I guess you're okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my God. Okay. That was stupid. But yes, just like, whatever Kayla DeBoer said or could happen or whatever it is, this was episode 146 of False Start. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter at the X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at the Sizzle20. You can follow the show at CFB False Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Oh my God, that's a hand. Is that an embalmed stamp thing on their thing?
Oh yeah, that's the Hogwarts emblem. This is a Harry Potter notepad.
Oh my God. That's really sophisticated, really official, really nice.
That's right.
I'm not wearing a collared shirt. I'm wearing a pullover because death is not going to ruin me. And this is a Levi's shirt under t-shirt under
Let's
here.
go.
When I was in bed sick the other day, I said Wingardium Leviosa, like Antonio Banderas, and nothing ever levitated.
No. Oh man. Unfortunately, you're not a wizard, Bueller.
No, we're not. No, we're not. There's no amount of Deathly Hallows that's gonna magically make me feel better. And this is false stuff.